Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at Ashita no Joe Fighting for Tomorrow Volume 1 from Kodansha. This is a highly anticipated hardcover release, and I recently read it and wanted to share my thoughts on it because it's the first time that I'm actually experiencing Ashita no Joe. Written by Asao Takamori with art by Tetsuya Chiba. The series was first published back in January of 1968 and it lasted all the way to May of 1973 for a grand total of 171 chapters collected across 20 volumes. Ashita no Joe sold over 20 million copies, and it includes 2 anime series adaptations along with anime films and the 2 live-action movies, one in 1970 and the other in 2011. Joe Yabuki, the protagonist of Ashita no Joe, essentially became a pop culture icon, and now finally in December of 2024 we had the first English release under the Vertical imprint from Kodansha. Ashita no Joe, when it was serialized, it resonated deeply with the working class youth of Japan. It was a period of economic transition, and you could see the struggle of the main protagonist with those that grew up in poverty, that didn't have that opportunity to shine, and you could inject your emotion, frustrations, and own a self-reflection in this young boy and his journey to stardom. Obviously, one of the glaring aspects, which you could say goes with sports dramas in general, is that perseverance, that struggle, those story beats that make sports stories so beloved worldwide. They are universal themes of having a protagonist struggle with not only their own self-doubt and worries, but also the sport itself, competing, rising to the top, defeating opponents, the drama of losing or winning matches. You get the idea. So what the heck is Ashita no Joe about? Well, we follow the character of Joe Yabuki, this orphan kid that is untrusting of other people, especially adults. He's had a harsh childhood, coming out of orphanages and violent homes. He is basically living as a delinquent in the slums of Tokyo. His means to survive is through his fist and his raw, powerful potential. It isn't until the MVP of the series, Danpei Tange, who is a washed-up boxing coach, stumbles upon Joe that he realizes and has this epiphany of changing Yabuki's life for the better by giving him the opportunity to rise above their current living situation and be something more, become something greater than whatever he can imagine at the moment. So Danpei does everything possible at the beginning of this manga to entice Joe into letting him coach him and all that stuff, but Joe is extremely stubborn. He does not trust Danpei, he does not trust anybody, and is just living out, looking out for himself. He befriends some of the local kids that have sort of a child gang, if you will, and they go off on misadventures throughout the city, conning people and grabbing all the food that they can and just causing mayhem. This leads into the beginning of Joe's transformation. Eventually, he kind of agrees to Danpei's request of training, but just sees it as an opportunity to get some warm food, housing, and sure, train a little bit, but he isn't serious about it, and he doesn't have the incentive to keep going. It's not until his first major stumble where that reckless lifestyle lands him in jail. Fighting with other juvenile delinquents leads Joe to meet one of the other famous characters in this series, Rikishi. This is another character that will play a huge part in the story of Ashita no Joe. I accidentally spoiled myself with the fate of certain characters, which I probably shouldn't have, but it was an honest mistake while I was doing research. But I could tell that this is going to be a wild, fascinating ride. Even though I know the outcome of the series, I'm still excited to continue checking out these hardcovers. So immediately, there's a rivalry that forms between Rikishi Rikishi and Joe. So most of this hardcover, it's 600 pages long. One of my main complaints is the fact that Kodansha didn't put the chapter breaks on here, so you're just reading one huge manga hardcover, but that's just a minor complaint. We get 30 or so chapters of this series, and it's laid out in such a fascinating way where, yes, it is a manga from the late 60s, but the writing still feels fresh, exciting, dangerous, and yeah, some of the wording and characterizations of certain people might be a little outdated, but it has that tale of resilience, redemption, and of course, one of the most epic things you can do in storytelling, for me at least, is the unwavering human spirit. And that is present here with Joe Yabuki. And just in this first hardcover alone, seeing his evolution from just a rowdy delinquent into the potential greatness of a wonderful boxer is amazing to see. Just goes to show the craftsmanship in storytelling by the creative team. The art surprised me. Yes, it is cartoonish, but it doesn't shy away from the grittiness, especially when there's delinquent violence, especially in the juvie/prison setting, and occasionally you'll have breaks of random comedic gag elements. Even though it is telling a serious story, this is still aimed at young readers as well as old ones. So to have that break in there is a little bit refreshing, if not a little bit silly. But back in the day, this was revolutionary. To have a shonen manga deal with sports, slice of life elements, and drama in such a visceral way was groundbreaking. I really enjoyed Danpei as a character and his endless struggle to get this kid to listen. And that goes to show you that it happens to a lot of people. It's not until you get dragged down in the mud, you have faced so many stumbles, and you take so many hits, that those hits and those life lessons start shaping you up and making you realize that with that comes maturity and the idea that you shape up and start training to be a better individual. In this case, through the art of boxing. I am not the biggest sports guy in the world. I enjoy the idea of what sports is. I just don't like the organized aspect and the modern stuff with all the betting and gambling and the trivialization of just watching people hitting each other nonstop. But the story aspect of sports and having a season and the highs and lows of going through that season, doesn't matter which sport, is always exciting. And that translates so well to storytelling in sequential art. And that, I think, is one of the key things that makes this first volume such a hit. You don't have any boxing here. It starts to show up little by little, and you're just focused on Joe's journey and his recklessness and stumbles. So what a work of art to be able to do that. And of course, volume 2, I assume, will be even bigger on the boxing element, because we do start to get our first fight towards the end of this hardcover between Joe and Rikishi in the Juvie Detention Center. So overall, I enjoyed the heck out of this. I did not know how I was going to react, but as soon as I started reading, it's engrossing because of what I've just described and seeing that journey. Of course, the comedic elements and the more dramatic stuff interwoven throughout makes this a very compelling read. Now, I know a lot of people complained when the solicits came out and we realized that this is sort of a standard hardcover, not a deluxe edition, but there was such a huge amount of effort done to bring this to North American audiences and have the best translation available, as well as the touch-ups and restoration with the original art, that it sort of made the book slightly expensive, which I get it, not a lot of people were comfortable with that. And if it were to be blown up to deluxe edition size, it would have been even more expensive. But what you do get is a phenomenal presentation otherwise. I highly recommend you pick up Ashita no Joe. If you want me to continue this series, talking a little bit more about it and my thoughts on it with the second hardcover, let me know in the comment section down below. I know that if I make continuous videos, I don't think they're going to get the views. I don't think people are going to be interested. They might be interested in 1 or 2, or maybe sort of like a summary of everything, but following through with 7 more videos is a daunting task, if you ask me. So again, if you want me to make more of these Ashita no Joe videos, let me know in the comments section down below. Hit the like button and all that jazz. So there it is. That is my little video here. This took a little bit more time getting it done because I sort of wanted to speak from the heart on this one and not just give you a normal overview of just showing the book and that's that. I am passionate about this series and I do want to continue reading it, so I wanted to pay homage to a legendary manga series. So that's going to be it for now. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Of course, thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being part of Manga Geekdom. God bless, stay safe out there. I will catch all of you on the next one.